So Glenn, last time we chatted, it was a very strong win for England in Cardiff. It's fair to say the table has turned quite significantly. Big result for Australia at Lord's. What are your reflections on it on the Australian side of things?
Well, we knew Australia would come back after that first game. I think England took them by surprise a little bit. They were riding on the emotion of the country really talking it up after the New Zealand series, and Australia weren't ready for what hit them, but they were prepared at Lord's. Michael Clarke did the right thing by winning the toss. He changed his call. The boys in the room convinced him to change his call from tails.
Is that true?
Heads. Yeah.
Oh wow!
And he went out, called heads, and had a win. And to bat first on that wicket was a big bonus. And the way they batted, apart from Davey Warner, who probably threw his wicket away to finish day one for 337. You're in the driver's seat, and then they just dominated from there. Got a big first innings score, declared, bowled England out, bowled England out, and then went out and had a bit more fun with the bat. I thought at one stage Steve Smith was going to be brought in, get in trouble for bringing the game into disrepute because the way he played. You can't do that at Lord's. You can't play Test cricket like that at Lord's. But he was amazing with his first innings and second innings. And then probably the biggest thing was the way Australia bowled in the second innings and the way England batted. I have concerns for the rest of the series just because that was so dominant. And England batsmen looked worried, and it was a little bit brought us back to the series back home recently where Australia won 5-0. So I think England have big concerns. Australia, on the other hand, with the changes they made, really worked, and they played well. They really bounced back. Yeah,
the two standouts for me, you've mentioned them already. Steve Smith, he really did show his class, and to do it at home of cricket, what a stage for him to really show that he's in the top, 1, 2, 3 players in the world.
Oh, exactly. After Cardiff, he went from number 1 back to number 2. A.B. de Villiers overtook him without playing a game, but the way he batted there, he showed just class he is. He's not your normal conventional batsman. He's tough to bowl to, and I think England really found that. He'd been threatening getting a double 100. So this in the last 6-7 months, he got a 199, 192 first, then a 199. And then to go on and get a double 100, but his attitude is what I love. Yeah,
and the other guy, obviously Mitchell Johnson, who, in fairness to you, we had this conversation after the Cardiff Test, and you said, look, I saw in him enough at Cardiff to know that he's not far away, and Lord's, and you actually said when he scores runs, he often delivers afterwards, and sure enough, he did.
And there we go again. But I was watching the way Mitchell Johnson bowled at Cardiff. He was a lot more consistent. He swung the ball. There was no bounce. It was slow. Everything that Mitchell Johnson wouldn't want in a wicket. Come to Lord's, still very slow wicket, but the bounce and the pace and the aggression that he extracted out of that wicket, got the England batsmen jumping around. They didn't look comfortable. Bell looked uncomfortable as well as the openers, but even Joe Root, I think there's ominous signs there for the rest of the series, just the way they're going to bowl to him, and even Moeen Ali, the way he got out. So I think if there's a little bit in the wicket, he's going to play a big part in the rest of the series.
And just a mention of the two guys who got brought into the side, Mitchell Marsh and Neville.
Yep.
I keep wanting to say Phil Neville, but that's a footballer over here.
Neville.
Peter Neville. I thought they brought fresh energy to the side. I thought Peter Neville looked good behind the stumps. Lord's is not an easy place to keep wickets sometimes. What were your thoughts on their performances?
No, I thought they did. When you get a couple of young guys coming in keen to play, either your first Test match or first Ashes match at Lord's is pretty special. Pete Neville came out. He looked pretty solid with the bat. Only took him a few balls to really get into his innings, and he looked pretty comfortable. Unfortunately, probably threw his wicket away in the 40s there, chasing quick runs. And then to start off your keeping career by taking a pretty easy catch, second ball of the innings, quickest of all time for a keeper to get off the mark with a catch. So, and then went on to take, at least seven wickets, seven behinds at least. You couldn't ask for a better start. So he looked good behind the stumps. Yep. And Mitchell Marsh came in. The way he bowled, he picked up some big wickets. I think he surprised a few batsmen as well as the English crowd how quick he bowls and the sort of bounce that he gets out of the wicket. And then when he batted in that second innings, he is a big hitter of the ball, and he can be a pretty destructive batsman. I think he showed a bit of that with a couple of sixes in a row before Australia declared. So, yeah, those two coming in, I think, just added a fresh energy to the team too.
And I mean, I guess there'd be no changes. The only possible change to the Australian team could be Chris Rogers if he doesn't recover well. I don't know what the latest is. I mean, we all hope really that there's nothing there that stops him playing. I guess that would be the only change. If he doesn't play, possibly Shane Watson goes up the order, or Sean Marsh comes in, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think if there is a change, it'll be because of that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Chris Rogers, he's had plenty of time to recover. I think between the two, what is it? Yeah, a week, 9 days.
Longer,
so that's a long time. They're saying they didn't think it was related to getting hit in that first innings. Fingers crossed it's not. But yeah, if he's fit, he'll play. If not, I think they'll probably bring Sean Marsh in.
Sean Marsh instead of Shane. Okay, interesting.